Hi guys.
Hi, Sachin.
Hey, hi Nisha. Hi Ashutosh. How are you, sir?
Hi Sachin. Sachin, today it's a continuation of yesterday class or is a new topic we will going to discuss?
It's a new topic, complete new topic. We'll talk about working today.
Okay, fine then. Thank you.
Okay, so for the today's session,
Sachin, what's the agenda?
yeah.
Okay. Tell me.
So the agenda for today is VPC. We will talk about VPC, and we'll try to cover complete VPC. It's a big topic, but if not, we'll continue with the next class also for the same. So in VPC, we'll first talk about it. What is VPC? Why it is used? How you can use it? And how you can set up the VPC manually, how from wizard, what are NAT instance, internet gateway, NAT gateway, VPC peering, endpoint, transit gateways, how the logs are there. We'll talk about the cost, how this cost is there, how you can save the cost on VPC. And there are a lot of topics which are related to AWS network specialty here. And there are a few some of the topics which are related to as a point of view, architect point of view, but majorly like from network specialty, these guys deal with that few of the things which have a very complex design and those structures. But we'll cover up almost each and everything. And AWS direct connect net VPC we will talk in the next session. Today we are not covering up the direct connect where you basically connect with the on-premises network and all to your VPC. So that will connect in the next session. Now, before we'll start a session, so the agenda is this, but like we'll go ahead with a particular flow, because if we don't go with the particular flow, everything will be very, very complicated. So for VPC, we'll go ahead with a particular flow, and that flow would be, I'll tell you. Yeah, so that flow will be that we will first talk about VPC, then like we'll first see how to create a VPC, then we'll see how we can create a subnet in that. Then we will see how you can launch EC2 instances in that, how you launch, how you create internet gateway, how you do routing. Then we'll talk about NAT instances, NAT gateways. Then we'll talk about NACLs, that is network ACLs, as well as we'll talk about the security group and how NACLs and security group works and how they are different basically. Then we'll talk about the peering, that how you can connect two VPCs together and access them. And at the end, we'll talk about VPC endpoint, which will complete the entire agenda workflow. Each and every of these step involves the lab exercise. So I have those steps written, but those steps are not like properly documented to share it with like you guys. So if you don't do the exercise, I'll share those things. Like I have to rewrite that step and then I'll share it with you guys. And at the end, we'll start with the VPC flow log. Now, let's see what is basically VPC. Okay. So VPC stands for Virtual Private Cloud. And this is one of the great service provided by AWS and mainly used by the networking guys. Like if you're like specifically used with the networking team, like whoever works on the cloud for you, they use this particular service a lot. And how basically like they use and for what purpose they use it is that, see, when you talk about VPC, so it's basically a kind of a service where you create your own private network. Okay, and then you access the resources from that particular private network. so that publicly no one can create it. It's like your corporate network that you cannot access your IBM, or if I talk about Deloitte, or if I talk about any ABC company, you cannot access those resources from outside. It's the reason very simple, because they have their own private network, and all the resources are associated with that private network. All the resources are created within that private network, and you can access it. And that is very important, because you don't want the things to be accessed publicly. Your own resources and your own services, you don't want it to be exposed to the internet, so you create your private network. That is the whole concept of VPC. That is the whole point that which basically implies the same on AWS also. Okay, so VPC is a private network which basically you define it on a AWS platform, as it is for it. You are using it for AWS, and then you create your resources in it. Like resources could be ID3, it could be your S3, it could be your EC2, it could be your database. Anything you create on that, and you access those services within that private network. Also, it gives you the flexibility that you can assign your own range of IP address. Okay, until now we are seeing that we have assigned, like we get any random IP. Okay, we get any random IP. We don't even like defined any particular IP or something. But now we will define our own IP, that what particular range should be there for IP. So before going ahead with any other thing, first of all, we should discuss, or we should basically understand what is what is basically IPv4, what is CIDR. So the main thing is the CIDR, which basically is we will be using a lot in the VPC. Now VPC belongs to a single region, so it's a regional service. For every region it gets changed. Okay, and you cannot create like it's that if you create one VPC in a single region, so you cannot access the other VPC from like the different region. You cannot access those things. Okay, like for that you can access it. There is a cross account VPC mechanism with help of which you can do that, but not with the same VPC you can access. And you can create multiple VPCs in a single region, and again you can access those in a single region itself. But when I talk about CIDR is a very important concept to understand here. It basically stands for the classless inter-domain routing. Okay, so this CIDR basically gives you that in how much particular range should be there for any IP. Okay, like you use it mainly for the secure, for your AWS networking. When you talk about, so you can say that you use it for the security groups. So you understand it in such a way, like right now when you assign the security group, so when you do that custom or anywhere and you define the IP, so you see that we define that 0.0.0/0, okay, or 10.0.0.1/20/ okay. Now here the IP range is basically defined in such a way that, let me show you it in Notepad first. So we write something like 10.0.0.0/0. Okay. Now here, this particular part, okay, this particular part is your base IP. Okay, this is known as your base IP, and this is known as your subnet mask. Base IP is nothing. It is basically the range of a IP, okay, for your particular subnet mask. Let's say if I define something that 10.0.0 to 10. Rather than this, let's say if I define that 0.0.0.0/0, okay, this means that any IP can be assigned. Okay, allow all the IPs. Okay, if you guys have a little bit of understanding of a network, so what happens here is that, let's say if we write it as 10.0.0.0/32. Okay, so that's the subnet mask which is there. That is basically it is of total of 32. Means this will tell you that how many IPs will be there in this particular range, and how you can.
Sachin, are you sharing something?
Yeah.
I'm not able to see your screen.
What about other guys?
Yeah, I'm able to see.
Yeah, I'm also able to see.
Yeah, Sachin, I am also able to see.
Then
Okay, let me rejoin then.
So we see this 32 is my range. Now, when I say that this is my range, so whatever number is written, you might subtract it from 32. Okay, whatever the subnet mask is written, you subtract it from 32, and whatever value you get, that you define as 2 to the power of that value. That is equal to, sorry, that is equal to 2 to the power of 0. Okay, so this will give you the output as the 1. This means that for this particular range, the output would be 10.0.0.1. Okay, it will be 10.0.0.1. Okay, now let's take another example where, let's say I say that if I have 31. Okay, if I have 31, so 32 minus 31 will be 1. 32 minus 31 will be 1, and now 2 to the power of 1 will be, if I say that 2 to the power of 1, it will be 1. Okay, this means we have two IPs. So now here we can have the IP as 10.0.0 and 10.0.0.1.
Sachin, that 32 is the subnet. Now, what is 31?
30. Okay, 31. That if I define it this like this, CIDR as this, where in my CIDR I am saying that only 31 should be 31 subnet within the 31 subnet mask range. Allow all the IPs.
So then, what is 32 then? Every number is we're subtracting from 32. So what is 32 here?
That is defined by IANA only, like the Internet Authority, which basically gives that they have total subnet value as 32.
That is because of, you are saying IPv4, because of IPv4 2
Yes.
to the power 4, 2 to the power 4, 32?
Yes,
Okay.
right.
Okay.
So if we have here 27, so what will happen, that we have 5 and then 2 to the power of 5, that goes to somewhere around 32. So you can have 32 IPs. So when you define the CIDR, okay, so the maximum is 0. 0 means it will allow somewhere around 65,535 IPs. Means you can have from 10.0.0 to total of 65,535 IPs you can have it. Okay, that is the maximum number of IPs which you can define. If you put 20, then it will go to 2 to the power of 12. So this is the concept of CIDR, which basically tells you that how many IPs would be there starting from the range which you have defined. That is your base IP, that is 10.0.0.0 from there. Okay. Now there is one more concept. Okay, these all are like the normal networking concepts. Let's say if you define in the 10.0.0.32. Okay, and one more thing before all this, if you think that okay, you are not too comfortable with this, so what you can go to you can go to this site, IP address guide. Okay, it allows you to convert your CIDR to IP. So this allows you to convert your to perform the conversion. So let's say if I have to perform the conversion of 10.0.0.0/20 and I say convert it. So see, these all are like the default mask address and or whatever it is. But my first IP would be this 10.0.0. Okay, and this would be my last IP. Okay, this would be my last IP. In total, we'll have 4096 IPs which we can assign for this. If I put 32 here, so one thing which we have to see here, you see, we have one IP only. Means nothing can change as it is one IP. So no, basically like no last index 0 or something can be changed. If I put 31. We have from 0.0 to 1 because we have two IPs. So one would be this, other would be this. But if I put 24, 24 says that, let's see this, that your last value will change. Okay, will like total will have 256 IPs. So from 0 to 255 it will change. Okay, that is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 till 255. If I do 16, okay, this is the some pre format, okay, which is there. If I do 16, now last two can change. Okay, I have this now 65,536 IPs. Okay, if I do this, so this will be my last two digit can change. Okay, to accommodate all these IPs. If I do 8, last three can change now because I have the number has increased. Okay, last three can change. And if I do 0, let's see what is there. It gives me invalid CIR format because for 10.0.0 I cannot do anything, but if I do 0.0.0 slash 0, okay, we have to give a proper valid IP actually. So that is basically 0.0.0 basically means that any particular IP can be assigned. Okay. So if you guys are confused, or if you guys like when you are architecting your network and you think that, okay, what should be the IP range and these things, this is what we can do. Okay, this is how you can use it. Now, here one more important point which we have to understand, that total host will be 256. Okay, we'll have the total host as 256, which will, let's say the range will be from 10.0.0 to 10.0.0.255. But in this total of 256, the first, when you put the CIDR in AWS, it will show you only 251 because the 5 IPs are reserved by AWS itself for its own purpose. Okay, the 5 IPs are reserved by AWS for its own purpose. Okay, and what are those purpose? So the first 4 IP and the last IP will be used by AWS. Let's say for this particular range, this first 4 IP will be there by reserved by AWS. This will be reserved by for network address. Okay, this will be reserved for network address. This will be reserved by them for AWS VPN creation. This will be reserved by AWS for DNS mapping. This will be reserved by them for future purpose. And now my last one should be this. This will be the network broadcast address. Okay, network broadcast address, which will be used by AWS itself. So these 5 IPs you cannot use. Okay, you cannot use these 5 IPs for your instance. Apart from that, any other IP starting from 10.0.0.4 till 10.0.0.254, you can access any particular IP. That means that for any particular CIDR, the first 4 and the last IP is used by AWS itself for their own purpose. Okay, these details might not be mentioned in the slide. If you want to make a note of this, you can make note of this. Now, another important is public IP and private IP. Public IP is what? Okay, any like whatever your home network and all those things are there.
Sachin,
Yeah.
sorry, just before moving that, I missed that. What is a CIDR block?
Yeah. So see, for CIDR, okay, for the CIDR is nothing. It basically gives you the range. It gives you the range that if let's say if you have defined the range as 24 here, okay. So what it will say that the first this
Okay.
IP range, okay, which says that this is your starting IP and this is your subnet mask. Okay, this is your subnet mask. Basically say that total from the base IP, total next these many IPs can be part of this particular range. Means from this you will identify what will be your last IP and how you are going to identify that. So as per the INA and all these things, the 32 is my total value. Okay, you subtract from 32 whatever subnet mask you have defined. Okay. Now I have 8, and then you do 2 to the power of 2 to the power of 8, which goes to 256. So you can have total of 256 IP, which will start from 10.0.0 and end with 10.0.0.255. It could be anything. You can start with 172 also, 192 also. 10.0 I'm just taking for an example. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So what I have
Okay. So this is called a CIDR.
yes, this is called a CIDR, which stands for classless interdomain
Okay.
distinction, and basically divides your IP addresses.
Okay.
Okay. Now, so a lot.
Okay. Okay. No, I know this concept, but I didn't know it was called CIDR. And one more question is, for example, you gave this. Now, for example, Saurabh creates a VPC and he gives 10.0.0.0 slash 16. And I create a VPC, I also give 10.0.0.0 slash 16.
It will
So
not.
how come our IPs are not same and how come they're different?
It will not take it. There should not be any overlapping IPs for the subnets and all.
No, no, not subnets. I'm saying Saurabh has created in his own account in his own region. I have created on my account on my own region. So if I see IP, then IP should be unique, right?
See, whatever range you will define for your region, okay, for your region or for your account, that it will take it from your for you. It will take it for in for that particular IP only in that particular range. That means if I say from here, so within 10.0.0.0 to 10.0.0.255 for your VPC, it will take this. For Saurabh, it will take it. For him, it will take it for this for his region. Okay. This
Yeah,
will,
but then how come it is not the same? Because we are both giving 10.0.0.0.
why it will be same? Like
Because both IPs are same, right?
it should be same.
He's also giving 10.0.0.0.
He is giving for his own. He is
Sorry.
for his own private network. You are giving for your own private network. Right? Your private.
Oh, okay. So
You have created your own
since it is
private.
for private network, hence we cannot access it.
Yes, it's like yeah, it's not like it's not that you are like if you give it for public network also, for public network also you give a CIDR, okay, but for public you can access it. But see, overall these all things where you are using this, you are using it in a private network. Until Saurabh will not allow you to access his VPC, how come you can like go and use his IP?
Okay, no, no, I was
You'll understand all these things,
okay.
Prasad,
Got it.
further concepts. We have a lot
Okay, got
here.
it.
Okay, so this is how you can use this. Now, you all like, would be aware about like, there are the classes of IP and all those things. Okay, now what happened that if you see this IP 10.0.0.0 to 10.0.0.255, this particular range is mainly for your like is mainly like used for the big networks. Okay, it's mainly used for the big networks. Okay, this is like all these are from the Google sources only. Like I'm not defining any usage on my own here. And as per the AWS, whenever you see that your private IP and all which you see, okay, so AWS uses mainly this particular range. That is 172 this dot 31.55.255. These are the default like AWS one IPs, which is being most of the time you see that all the private IPs would be in this range only most of the time. Okay, any IP which is 192.168.0, okay, to 192.168.255.255 will be your home network. Okay, it's your like from the home whichever you are connecting, you see like all most of your IPs would be for this only. Okay. If you see this, my IP address is also this. I've connected from my home network. Okay. So home network IPs would be this. Any other IP, okay, apart from this particular range, like any other thing like which comes from 11.0, 52.0, 32.1, 24.12, any other thing which comes apart from this range would be your part of the public IP. Okay, these are some of the private IPs basically, you can say, which have certain values assigned. Apart from that, so these will not be used by any other mainly. And apart from that, all the other IPs which you define, all the other rest of the IPs will be comprised of the public IP address. And this is been established by the INA, and INA is basically the authority which assigns the IP numbers, okay, for the IPv4 addresses for use of your any private or public addresses. So is this clear, the CIDR and the IP part here? Okay. Now
Yes.
let's move further, and let's talk about, first before that we'll see the VPC. Okay. See, normally whenever you create your account, a default VPC will be created. As soon as you create your account, a default VPC will be created by Amazon, okay, on its own. And that VPC will have subnet, that VPC will have internet gateway and everything, because until now you have not done any networking changes to access the internet. You just go and you access your public domain or public IP, and you can SSH directly, and you can like access the internet from all those things. Okay, so that because you associate it with the default, when you create the EC2 instance, you associate it with the default VPC. But if you create your own VPC and you don't define the configuration, you won't able to do all these activities. Okay, let's see what is there in the default VPC. So I have like few things already created for the demo purpose, but let me show you what is there. So when you go to this VPC service, okay, so when by first time when you launch the VPC service, VPC to this, okay, right now you see two here because I have created one. So you will see like one, like you will see one for your particular region. The default some 3 or 4 subnets would be there. One routing table would be there. One internet gateway will be there. Okay, the security group, whichever, or the NACLs, one default NACL would be there. No peering connections and all these things will be there. Okay, and one DSCP option will be set. So DSCP option is basically just for the your dynamic host and all these things being set by AWS only. We don't do here anything. Okay, and endpoint and all will not be set by that. And so this will be already will be set by this, and it will check for the service health for your particular region. Okay, now you can filter out your VPC and these things. Okay, like just you can, if you want to see the details for your respective VPC, you can filter it out based on your demo. Okay, based on your VPC name. Okay, this is a default VPC which is created. Let's filter out for this default VPC. You can see that this is the VPC ID, this, and this is the owner. So I'll go here. I'll click on this your VPC. So this is a default VPC which has the you see the IP ranges, which is for this 172.31 this. Okay, that is 2 to the power of 16. These many total IP ranges would be there. They have created a network ACL, DSCP option, route table. Until now, I have not done any other thing. Okay, I have just done this, and the DNS resolution, host names, and everything will be added there. Okay, they have associated the CIDR block and all those things. IPv6 is not being used still. So that is not there. And like flow log will talk what it is and all. So we'll talk about all this. So you see that everything is like by default, when you create an account, this will be configured for you by AWS itself only. Okay. So this is the small like a walkthrough which we have for the VPC. Okay, for this we'll have the different subnets also which will be associated to your VPC. So you see all these 6 subnets are there which are basically associated to your to my default VPC. Okay, and you see that as I told that for subnet they have defined the range as this. Okay, you can change the range for subnets. So as I said that if you see the 2 to the power of 32 minus 20 is 12, you do that, it comes to 4096, but only we have for all of them we have 4091 because 5 first 4 and the last one is reserved by AWS itself. They have a routing table and everything is defined. Okay, we'll discuss about this further when we'll talk about the details. Okay. So now let's every one of us should open our instance and try to create VPC. Okay, like as soon as you get open the instance, go to the VPC service. Create a VPC name as demo VPC and assign the IPv4 CIDR block for a demonstration purpose as 10.0.0.16. Now before you do that, just have a look over here at screen. We are not going to do anything with IPv6 because IPv6 is not used at too much. Here you will get an option of tenancy, that where you want to, whatever resources you want to create in VPC, whether you want to keep it as a default or dedicated. The tenancy, can anyone tell me, except Prasad and Saurabh, can anyone else tell me what does default and dedicated tenancy means? We already covered this. Do we have Narendra on the call? No. Guys, anyone else except Prasad and Saurabh? Abhijit?
No idea, sorry.
We learned about this in EC2 instance. I'm giving a clue. Nisha, follow me. Ashutosh.
Also choose.
Okay. So Prasad and Saurabh, yeah, anyone of you want to try? Nishan, follow me.
In the security settings, we were choosing this default option. So it was maybe taking to the default subnet.
No. Okay. Prasad or Saurabh, anyone of you want to try?
So okay, sorry, you can go ahead if you want.
Yeah, so as for my understanding, tenancy basically means if it's dedicated to a single customer or whether it will be a default VPC or EC2 instance.
Exactly. So this default means that it's a shared infrastructure, and dedicated means, if you remember, we talked about dedicated host and the other one, dedicated instance and these things, where you talk about that it will be just dedicated for you, for your purpose only. No one else can go ahead and no other customer services will be running on that, or instances will be running on that. So for our demonstration purpose, we'll talk about default, and so just go ahead and configure this and create a demo VPC. Once you are done, just let me know. It should be very quick.
So Sachin, when you're creating this VPC, you have created the IPv4 CIDR block as 10.0.0.0. 10.0.16.
Yeah.
But sometime back you were mentioning that Amazon has a few reserved IPv4 addresses, which is starting from 172.31.
Yeah, that is
So
a default AWS ones. Like for the default VPC which it creates, it will always give that range up. Like as we can see here also, for the default VPC, give this one.
okay.
Okay, so I hope everyone would have created by now. Now, when we come here, we'll see our VPC ID. Okay, we'll see the IPv as this. DNS resolution will be by default enabled. DNS hostname will be disabled. Then you will get the owner ID. It will by default create one route table, as well as it will create one network ACL. Okay, we'll see when we'll come to that why it has created and what you have to do in this. Okay, but right now we should understand that we will create a VPC. Okay, so we'll understand that overall that the structure of one thing here, that why and in what flow. As I mentioned, we'll go in particular flow. So how we are going in a flow is that first we'll create a VPC, then subnet, then EC2 instances. Okay, then we'll try to access these. Then we'll create the internet gateway. Okay, once we have created the internet gateway, we'll create a routing table. Then we'll create the NAT instances, as well as I'll show you how, like the NAT gateway example also. Then we'll create the NAT is this network ACLs. So this is the flow. Basically, this is the flow in which you should go. So, and we'll follow the same flow for our demonstration, so that no confusion will be there and we will understand the things. Let's move on to subnet. Subnet, we all like would have understanding by now, as we have like worked on EC2 instances and these things, that subnet will be for the availability zone. Okay, it will always be tied to availability zone. In each subnet, you can have a public and your private instances. Okay, you can have a public subnet as well as private subnet. Means in each availability zone, you can have public subnet as well as private subnet, which you can create. Okay, so you like what we'll do, that we'll create a private subnet, okay, which will not be exposed to internet or to any of the other public, which is outside of the VPC, and a public subnet that will be anyways will be reachable. Now here one important point to note is that your public and private subnet, okay, your public and private subnet should not have the overlapping IP address ranges. Okay, it should not have the overlapping IPs. Means the range which you define, that range should not be in the private subnet or public subnet. Now, what we will do, we'll create 4 subnet. We'll create 2 public subnet and 2 private subnet. Okay, and you can create it in a different availability zone. How we are going to do that? Let's go back to our console. I'll go to subnets, and here you can just filter out based on your this. So I have here created 4 subnets, 2 public subnet A and B, 1 private subnet A and B. Okay, when you click on this create subnet, what you have to do, you give the name, assign it to your demo VPC, select availability zone, like let's say for one you select 1A, for other you select 1B, and as soon as you select VPC, you will get that the CIDR block which you have assigned, you will get that particular VPC CIDRs will be shown here. After that, you have to select the IPv4 range. Okay, so the IPv4 range, what you will be selecting for your public subnet would be, I'll tell you. So for public subnet A, you select it as 10.0.0.0/24. Okay. For public subnet B, you select it as 10.0.1.0/24. Okay, you see I've changed the IP. I've changed the second index here. Private subnet, I'm changing again for private subnet, 10.0.16.0/24. 10.10.10.10.20. If anyone has any confusion, you can go ahead and check in the private that IP addressing, that what is the first and last IP. So you will be that will be clarified that how and what we are doing. 10.0.32.0/20. Okay. So quickly let's create this public subnet and private subnet and just update you once it is done. Is it done?
No, I've just created one yet. Just give
Okay.
us 5 minutes more.
Yep. This is the main now session, which is like the major part in the AWS. Apart from that, like all the others were like very easy topics. Just apart from the Lambda and the serverless, those are some complicated topics. But apart from that, whatever databases, the cloud formation and cloud front and all those things which we are going to cover up in further sessions. And some of your routing policy is one thing which is there. But apart from that, all others would be easy. So this is just, you think that your last like a major topic basically from exam point of view also, as well as from understanding point of view.
Yeah, I feel even database is a major topic.
Yeah, database is a major topic, but I'm talking about here in terms of the difficulty in understanding.
Sachin?
Okay, yeah, because for data, yeah.
No,
Go
go
ahead.
ahead, Prasad. Go ahead.
No, I was saying that for databases, all the clustering and all those things and the questions on it, I felt that more tough than even this VPC section.
Okay. Yeah, Saurabh.
Okay, yeah. So, Sachin, I just wanted to ask, like, maybe I might have missed it when you were telling this. Why have we basically given different subnet masks for both public and private network? Any reasons for it?
Yeah, if you check, okay. So see, first of all, we don't want it to be the overlapping IP address. So this 10.0.0.24, okay, this will, the last IP address will be 10.0.0.255. Okay. So after that, what I did, like I just changed it to 10.0.1 so that I don't overlap it. Means for public subnet A, the range would be 10.0.0.this to 10.0.0.255. Now for B, it will be 10.0.10 to 10.0.1.255. You can like give 2, 3, whatever else you wanna give it. It's not that necessary.
Yes. Correct. So this part I got it. That you have created two public subnets with basically just changed not the last one. So we are getting all 256 for my this one like
And the range,
10.0.0 dot
I got your question.
255 and
Yeah. So the range I have defined because see, mostly like as per like saw that mostly like on public, you this public subnet and all, you don't like it just mainly open for the accessibility, okay, for the internet accessibility and all, because all the private also you will be accessing from your public only. Okay, so all your applications, databases, and those things, they would be installed on your private subnet. So ideally, we should give more IPs. Ideally, we should assign more IPs to your private subnet than your public subnet.
Okay.
I think this was your question, right? That why the range less
Yeah.
and that was given. Yeah, because I was coming to that like once you have created that.
But the available IP addresses for public subnets are less, right?
Yes, public subnets it would be less.
Okay, so you're mentioning for public subnets we should give less. The available IPs for public subnets are less. Can you repeat that last sentence what you mentioned?
For public, we will have the less IPs, whereas for private, we have more IPs.
So, like any specific reasons for it, or
It's just basically because you deploy the applications and all on. So that is one the reason. And public, it's like you just deploy, let's say, web server to access the it over the internet so that people can use it. That is like the only reason why we do this. So who all has created it?
I'm done.
Yeah,
One more question.
Yeah.
Yeah, one more question, Sachin. So let's say now we have given an IP range, let's say 10.0.0.24 or 20, and tomorrow because of the application grows suddenly and I feel that the IP ranges are now being less. So is it possible that I can change it?
Yes, you can.
Okay, so I can edit it anytime to make it again 10.0.0.16.
Yeah, you can add that.
Okay.
So, or yeah, all this is like just.
is there any Sachin? Is there any maximum range which I can give, like apart
Zero.
from that, like
If you give this slash this 0, this will have the maximum IP address.
okay.
32 minus 0 is 32. 2 to the power of 32 will have the maximum.
Sachin, do you have any good video on this whole IP range and the networking thing? Because I'm really very new to it, and yeah, I get confused on that. So do you have any good video, maybe by you or anyone who has shared on YouTube, which you can recommend us or recommend me?
So not actually like I've worked on this networking, and also I have not created any such. I'll see if I can get some good in it, like YouTube. I'll share you that.
Okay.
I'll just
Yeah, because at least my background was never of network, and I don't get the IP addresses at all. So I thought
I
that
have
if you
worked
can
in my
share, it will be
starting of
great.
my career. I've worked in in a data center as a if you know one as Netpool. So I've worked on that as a developer.
Okay.
Yeah, Sachin.
Okay.
So Sachin, one more thing, like I am a bit confused basically. So in terms of this IPs and how they are working in AWS, maybe this might sound silly, but when you create these public subnets, so you have created a 10.0.1.0 and you said /24,
Hmm.
correct?
Correct.
And when we are creating our security groups, at that time we are saying 0.0.0.0/0,
Correct.
which says I have all 255.255.255.255 addresses available to me.
Correct.
So then, how are we giving these IPs two places? Like, you got my point. This public subnet. How does this come into picture when I have a security group which allows all?
Okay. So
So this is basically for my VPC or
I'll stop you
yeah,
here, and I'll ask you to
yeah.
hold this question until we are not covering NAC network ACLs. You will understand. There is a rule for that.
Okay, okay. Because getting IPs at too many places, I'm kind of getting confused. Which one is coming? Okay,
We'll play this entire
okay,
VPC.
fine,
We are just playing with IP only.
sure, okay, thank you.
Okay, I hope everyone would have created it by now. Let's and if not, so like try to do that in parallel. Let's move ahead further and let's see that what will going to happen if we create with the subnet. Okay, like if like what we have created a subnet, we have created the IP range and everything in this, and we have defined that. Okay, and we have defined it in a different availability zone just to make the high availability concept and all those things. Now, before this, I'll go back to my services. I'll create two EC2 instances. Okay, I'll create two EC2 instances, one public instance and another one is private instance. Before you guys practice, let me show you what we are going to do. So create two EC2 instances, Linux 2 AMI, create a Linux 2 AMI only, t2.micro, public EC2 instance, okay. Assign the VPC to your demo VPC which you created and choose public subnet. Similarly, anyone you can choose, A or B, it's up to you. Similarly, create private EC2 instance for same AMI, assign the demo VPC and choose private subnet A or B. For my demonstration, I am using private subnet A and in private one, public this one. Okay.
Create public.
And guys, hold on. Just as soon as you go to configure instance detail, okay, let my screen load. I'll show you what we have to do. One more thing. This internet has. I'm launching my private instance. I have not yet created just for this demo only. So just bear with me. So by default, when you create VPC and when until now when you saw that you create EC2 instances, so it says that it auto assigns you the public IP address. But right now when you will be assigning this, that auto assign of public IP address would be disabled. Okay, that auto assign public IP address would be disabled and that would not be enabled. So either you can go ahead and you can enable it from your subnets or from there only you can choose the enable option. Let's see how we can enable it from the subnet. Okay, to auto assign the public IP address. Ashutosh, are you trying the things, whatever we are doing, and are you getting it? Because you have missed a lot of sessions.
Yeah, Sachin, I understand what you are means what we are discussing, but I have not tried actually.
Any particular reason that why you are not trying?
No, Sachin. Actually, I did not over. I mean, gone through the first video, so there first I need to create that account and then I need to try. Actually, that's the main thing.
Okay, no problem. So guys, let's go here and let's see network demo VPC. I'm assigning it. Okay, and I'm assigning my public subnet A. You see that use subnet setting. It says that disable. Okay, the reason for that is because it is disabled by default for this. So you can go ahead and you can click enable here, or in your subnet for your public subnet, right click there, and you will get an option as edit subnet settings, or I think edit public IP settings. Okay, that you will be getting, and from there you can go ahead and enable it. Just give me a minute. I'm just changing my internet. Are you guys able to see my screen?
Yeah. So in the meanwhile, you're saying that we should go to our public subnets, and over there go to modify auto assign IP settings and just enable auto assign public IP.
Exactly.
Okay, that is only for public subnets, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, and so let's. I can enable.
And that basically helps you for your EC2 to give you public IPs, because we are enabling it over here.
Exactly. So right now I'm
Okay.
creating a public subnet only. Like, don't create a private EC2 instance for now. Just create a public EC2 instance.
Yeah, Sachin, for this session, just give us some time. So let us create together. So
Sure.
even if we are lagging a bit, yeah, please bear with us for today.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Okay. So now you are told to create a private and a public this thing, right? A one each, one EC2 each for each subnet.
Right.
Okay. Just give us a minute. I'm making some user scripts so that I can identify which is which.
Enable the IP for both private and public both. Okay. Because you need the IP for both, right?
So security group, can we use
Sorry.
the existing one, or do you want us to
Yeah.
create
No,
something
nothing. No
specific?
changes. No change. Just the two changes. VPC, subnet, and enable. That's it. No other changes. And yeah, for private, sorry, my bad. For private, create a new key pair.
Okay, any reason for it?
We'll see it in some time.
Oh, when you want to go from one EC2 to from public to the private.
Exactly.
Start public.
Okay, so whoever has created a public instance as private, just let me know.
I have created.
Can you try to?
Sachin, one thing,
Hmm?
Sachin, one thing, what will be the security group we have to select for public instance?
Nothing, no changes. Just click on next.
Yeah, just a default.
So whoever has created the public instance, please go ahead and try to SSH it and let me know who all can SSH it.
So, so Sachin, I was creating this instance, the private one.
Hmm.
You mentioned that we have to give a new key pair, right?
Right, download a new pair.
So will that disable my previous key pair which I have assigned to my public one?
No.
Okay.
You can choose and you can choose. You will get an option to choose, right, for each and every.
Yes. I'm getting that, but just wanted to ask because. Okay.
Okay, who all have created this by now? Public, who all have created?
Yeah, I'm done.
I've created public.
Okay, whoever has created public, okay, like private, we don't need it for now. So like you can like create it in meanwhile. Whoever has created public, go and try to SSH it and let me know what you're getting. Each and every one of you has to do that apart from the ones who are not trying that lab. Guys, I'm repeating again, this is a very important to understand this VPC part. So like that's why we are going so slow for these sessions, as Prasad also mentioned the same. So because if you don't, if I just show the demo and all, I guarantee you no one will able to like get, even if I give 4 session also, that what is happening in batch. So please try to do the lab in parallel. Abhijit, how is it going for you?
Private one is created. Sorry, public.
Okay, can you try to SSH public, please?
Yes.
Prasad, what happened? You tried to SSH?
No, just give me a minute. But I know the answer.
No, that I know. you know the answer, that I know.
No, I'm first trying to create my instances. Private. So private, I have
It's
to
timed
create a
out.
new key pair, right?
Correct. Sorry, Saurabh?
No, it's timed out. What you are showing in your screen, it's the
Okay.
same.
Okay, meanwhile, you
Network
just,
error.
yeah, no problem. If it's timed out, then it's good. You are good. So meanwhile, you can just think of a reason why it's timed out. Why it didn't timed out until now, and why it timed out now. Like until others are doing. I need an answer for this from everyone. We have covered EC2 now, so we should know, at least we should have some answer. Nisha, follow me.
Yes, Sachin, I'm creating the instances just for SSH it. Yeah.
You are able to SSH it.
No, not yet. I'm just creating the instances. Then
Hmm.
yeah.
Yes.
Yes, Sachin, one more question.
Hmm.
So, yeah, when we launch an instance, it also gives the number of instances to launch and create auto scaling group. So, is it the default auto scaling group? Because yesterday we saw the number of auto scaling. So, does it say the minimum number of instances that are required if we do that?
No, that is basically your default auto scaling group, which it says that desired, basically it selects your desired value, not minimum, the desired value.
Correct. Means that says that, okay, at least the first auto scaling example that we saw, that when we say 1, so
Yeah,
as soon as we delete that instance, 1 is getting created. Okay.
yeah, you have to see, like, if you do that 2 there, the instance, so just see the auto scaling group whether any changes are there or not. I don't remember that if it really changes at that default one or not. So like just like make sure that this other check that before what the default auto scaling, what is there and what is afterwards, if we are doing that. Guys, it's like we are
No,
taking,
I'm not doing that. But
whoever has created, whoever else is done with this should not take this much of time. Nisha?
Yeah. So Sachin, I for the public instance, I downloaded from the putty chain the new private key, generated the private key and downloaded it. So now when I'm connecting it to the putty, it is not like going ahead.
Okay,
It
good.
is just giving me this blank screen. Yeah.
Good, you are good. Follow me.
Uh, I've not done it right now. So Sachin, I'm just doing it, downloading it.
Oh, Abhijit?
Yes, Sachin, I'm also getting some blank screen.
Great. Okay, now as most of us are getting blank screen, I want answer except Prasad. Prasad should not answer this question. Okay. And that why we are getting this screen, why we are not able to connect to SSH. Although my security group says allow SSH. Any one of you can answer except Prasad. Security group SSH is there. But until yesterday, I am not able to see that. Like, until yesterday, the same configuration I do. Any guess? Saurabh?
Hmm. I think I'm not sure. Okay.
Yeah, no problem. We can have like the like whatever is there, you can think of that, and you can say that. Not an issue. Okay, let me answer that.
Anything with respect to role or something?
No, not.
No.
So let me answer that. So guys, as I mentioned that as soon as you create your VPC, as soon as you create your AWS account, AWS creates a default VPC for you. And that default VPC has all the settings enabled, whether you talk about subnet, whether you talk about routing, whether you talk about internet or all the things. Okay. And until now, when we were trying to access the EC2 instance, what we are trying to do is that there was a reason that we are selecting the default VPC only every time. We are not going and said, I've not ever discussed about VPC until now whenever we are creating the EC2 instance for any particular purpose. The reason here is because right now the VPC which is there, it is not connected to internet. Okay, it is not connected to the internet gateway so that it can basically access the internet. Before any questions further, just hear it completely. What is there in the next one? If you see this diagram, okay, leave all these things aside right now. Whatever EC2 instance is there, okay, it should pass through this internet gateway, okay, via different mechanism, and that internet gateway will basically help you to access the internet. That internet gateway will help you to access to get connected to the internet. So right now we have created only VPC and subnet. We have not created any internet gateway. Now our next job or next task would be to create the internet gateway so that we can access the internet. But before that, let's understand what is internet gateway, okay, which is the important topic here. So internet gateway, in a simple terms, if I say, internet gateway is a service being provided by provided by AWS, which establishes a logical connection, okay, or you can say establishes a logical communication between your VPC and your internet. Okay, so it establishes a communication between your VPC and internet. What do I mean by this? That it helps your VPC instances to connect with the internet. Okay, to connect with the internet. It should be created or it should be associated to your VPC to which through which you want to connect your services to the internet. I repeat this line. It should be connected or associated to the VPC for which you are trying to access the internet. Okay, so and only one VPC at a time can be attached to one internet gateway. Only one VPC can be attached to one internet gateway. Now, did anyone else or did anyone observe anything that the instance which you have created, whether it's a public or whether it's a private, it does not have any host name? You see here, the DNS, public DNS we don't have, whether it's a private one or whether it's a public one. We don't have any public DNS also for this. We just have the public IP. And we saw this just few minutes before. We saw when we were creating the subnet that what was the reason for that. Again, Prasad would be the last person to answer if no one can answer. I want answer from other people. What could be the reason?
We did not select the default VPC while creating the instance.
No. We have created a new subnet. We have associated to this VPC. We should get that. Why we are not doing anything with default VPC right now? because everyone go to your subnet and see that the DNS hostname option is disabled there. So by default, when you create any subnet, the DNS hostname option that will be disabled. You have to go ahead and either you go ahead and enable it. Okay. The DNS hostname should be disabled. It is disabled. You can go ahead and enable it if you really want a public DNS. However, we don't want for our purpose right now. And what we have to do is that we have to create the internet gateway first. Okay. Let's see why we have to create the how we can create the internet gateway. Before that, any questions?
Sachin, can you please repeat your last statement, because I think because of the internet I lost it.
So I was saying that for your public instance and private instance, which you have created and associated to your demo VPC, does not have public DNS or public host name associated to it, as you see at my screen.
Correct.
The reason, because if you go to subnet, you see that the DNS host name is disabled there. Are you able to hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Now, yes.
So, okay, so go to VPC. Okay. And go to internet gateway. Name it as demo internet gateway.
Sachin, you were showing something. Go to your. If I go to my public subnets, where to watch the DNS?
If you go to public
I
subnet,
think we lost you over there.
okay, in public subnet, if you go to your public, select your public subnet, the detail which you get down, there you see DNS hostname option is disabled.
But Sachin, is that the reason? I don't think, is that the reason for the SSH failure?
No, SSH
No.
failure I already told.
No, right? Yeah. Actually, I'm yeah, breaking up in between. I'm not able to follow your entire sentence. Which you're saying.
Guys, just give me 2 minutes. Okay, let me connect to LAN. Then in that case, like this wired network is not working. Let me set up it with the LAN. Just give me 2 minutes.